All right, hello. So, still on staycation. I would like to talk about the whole publishing aspect of my book. So, I self published, right? You guys know why I self published. You probably saw my previous video. So, I thought, right, publishing with Barnes & Noble Press was going to make it easier for me, right? I thought, oh yeah, if I publish with Barnes & Noble Press, it'll totally be easier to get into Barnes & Noble. No, it was not. It was actually harder, actually impossible to get my book into Barnes & Noble having published with Barnes & Noble Press. So, here's a little insider information because I actually work at Barnes & Noble. So, my whole team was like very supportive of me. They were very, very supportive of me, my team, right? Here's the issue. So Barnes & Noble does not carry books that they print. They don't. Because, we ordered the book to the store for my book launch, and pretty much almost sold out of all the copies, which is great. Yay me. Yay no. Yay, all the people that came out to support me, all the friends that I've made. They don't carry. Now, we tried to order the books to the store repeatedly. We did a volume order with 944 Read, and they were just like, no, we can't. It's an inline item on B&N Press, so we cannot order this book to the store. So I tried to do what we call like a ship for store, ship to store, right? And even though it's prepaid, sometimes you can get prepaid books to the store. Sometimes. The problem is that they're prepaid, so you have to pay for them in advance. So we decided to just kind of try it. They cancel the order, they cancel the order, right? Okay. So we did it, and it said that the order was confirmed by the distribution center. Look, I had myself a nice little cry on shift. I literally cried because it was 11 days from my signing. The books were still not in the store. Mind you, they still said confirmed. And I called 944 Read and I said, hey, what's the status? It's been, about 3 weeks since we ordered these books. And they're like, oh, well, the distribution center canceled them. I was like the Jennifer Lawrence meme. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? They're like, yeah, they canceled them because they don't have the books. I'm like, I understand that, but it still says I have them confirmed. They're like, no, we're so sorry. They're like, what you can do is, they were very nice. 944 Read, they were very, very nice. They were just like, what you can do is, you can have the author pay for the books and just have them shipped to the store. Like, that's perfectly okay. And I'm like, okay. All right. Do that. Mind you, it's not always cost effective to do that, because you only make so much from the actual book. So I did the math, right? I did all the calculations, and I'm like, is this something I'm going to make a profit? Is this something that's going to benefit me? If I order, because you do get a discount. If you order B&N Press, it's like 40% discount, right? And so I would still be paying $11 per book to get them shipped, to then sell them, 60% of the proceeds, right? And after shipping and handling, it with all the math, it just was not cost effective for me to do that. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm not really making anything doing this. So I literally had myself a little cry. I pulled my coworker and I'm like, I need you to stay here for a moment. And I went to the back room and I had myself a little cry. And yeah, that part kind of sucked. But I am me. And I had the foresight to publish on Amazon. And I was able to order in the Amazon copies that I printed. Ordered them from the store, did a volume order, and they got to the store in 4 days. Talk about fast. So, even though my profit margin, like if you were to go on Amazon, I hate to say it because I do work at Barnes & Noble, if you were to go on Amazon and buy my book, because Amazon's printing it, my profit margins are higher. Versus if you were to go to Barnes & Noble, and I did the math backwards, versus if you were to go to Barnes & Noble and prepay for my book, because it's only prepaid only if you use that ISBN, because it's 2 different ISBNs, because it's 2 different publishing houses, right? If you were to use that ISBN, my profit margin's like only $1, right? Well, which is standard. It is standard. Nowadays, authors get like, if they think the book is going to be really big, publishers will offer authors, like big figure deals, right? But typically, standard is, you make about 10% of what the book sells for, because remember, 90% of that fee goes to the publishing house, editing team, marketing, book design, book formatting. So you still have to pay the publisher. So that 10% that goes to me works fine. However, and I can't believe I'm saying this, if you buy my book on Amazon, I do make a higher profit margin. Now, the books that I sold at my book launch, unfortunately, I did not make a high volume profit margin because it was printed by Amazon, but it was sold by Barnes & Noble. So my profit margin for that one is only 12 cents per book, which again, that's okay. My goal first and foremost is to just get my book into the store. My goal is to get my book into the store and get it known, to make it be known. A lot of authors struggle with getting their book into Barnes & Noble. Well, I found a way to get my book into Barnes & Noble, which is great. Did my research. I'm retentive like that. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't even see the point in publishing with B&N Press, because Barnes & Noble does not carry B&N Press books. However, depending on how you set up your book on Amazon, if your book is whole volume returnable, bookstores are more likely to carry your book in store. Oftentimes they're not returnable, which is why Barnes & Noble will not carry, because then if your book does not sell, it's just going to be sitting on the shelf, taking up real estate basically from other books. And if it's really not selling, and then we just take the book completely off the shelf and we'll just put it in the back until there's room, and it's one of our leftover books that we just keep in the back. It's tough. It is tough. It is worth it, I think, as someone who's done the whole process, had her little cry, was freaking out. I was in a manic panic. I was just like, oh my God, I'm not going to have this book launch. I'm not going to have anything. It's not going to happen for me. This thing that I've been planning for months is not happening. I was distraught. I was upset. I was crying. Thankfully, I had a really, everyone was very, very supportive. My entire team at my store was very supportive. Even the managers at other stores around who know me were very supportive. Everyone was like, it'll work out, relax, deep breaths, it's okay, don't freak out. And I'm like, no, I'm freaking out. And I was freaking out. But book launch happened. I sold about 20 books the day of the event, and I know the next day people who didn't come to the event bought some more copies. I'm on vacation, so I don't know what the sales are. I don't care. it's in Barnes & Noble, and that makes me happy. But I can't believe I'm saying this. Buy my book off of Amazon. If you want to support Barnes & Noble, that's great. You can do that. You can buy my book off of Barnes & Noble. There's nothing wrong. Whatever. I still get paid. My profit margin is just higher on Amazon. Initially, I thought it was higher on Barnes & Noble. It's not. It's not. I did all the math and calculations, and I'm like, now, if you buy the Amazon copy on Barnes & Noble, then my profit margin dips a lot to only 12 cents per book versus I think what I make is like $5, I think. All I know is that it's more than Barnes & Noble, and I only make like $1 and change for every Barnes & Noble copy that is bought. So you guys have no idea how much I was freaking out over it. Like, I was freaking out. I was freaking the fuck out. Some people know. Some people do know. But, yeah. It's done. It's over with. It was a success, and that is all I'm happy about. And that if you were there, you know the green was the theme kind of the book. But in any case, thank you all for tuning in. Check out New Girl. It is, like I said, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's called New Girl Freshman Year. First of a quartet, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I love it. And I know you're like, well, you're supposed to love your book. There was a time I hated it. I love it. It's great. So yeah. Happy reading, you guys.